actor to be nominated for the Oscar. How did it feel? How did it feel to be nominated a few weeks ago for Best Actress?
Fue algo muy emocionante, no lo esperaba, de hecho creo que ese día ni quería despertarme a ver las nominaciones, estaba algo cansada. Fue el nombre de Marina de Tavira lo que me despertó y hasta brinqué para ir a correr a ver qué era lo que pasaba, pero fue maravilloso ese momento.
So it was very moving. I was very, very excited. But initially, I really didn't even want to wake up. I was very tired. It was very early in the morning. I didn't want to really listen to the nominations, but I'm glad I did. And the first name that I heard was Marina Tavira's name, and I started screaming at that moment, and the excitement continued on.
Did you ever dream of being an actress?
No, nunca. El ser actriz no era algo que pasara por mi mente porque no sé desde qué edad consideré que era un mundo que no me pertenecía, que cada vez que yo veía la pantalla no veía a alguien que se pareciera a mí o alguien con quien me sintiera identificada.
No, I really did not think about being an actress because I always never considered that world of acting to be a world in which I could belong because I never saw any actors or actresses who looked like me.
Oh. Tú eres un ejemplo. You're an example to a lot of people now. How do you feel about being that?
Now we're talking.
Sorry, just rushing from the airport, sorry.
Yeah, well, hey, it's Alfonso Cuarón's world, and I'm so happy to be part of that world. I was asking Yalitza that, she never dreamt of being an actress, but now she's on the cover of Vogue, and she's an indigenous actress, and how does it feel to be an example, and, to the world?
Pues es increíble escuchar o leer comentarios donde muchas mujeres me dicen que por fin se identifican con alguien, que el hecho de ver la película sintieron que eran ellas las que estaban ahí, y creo que ha sido lo más gratificante de todo lo que he estado viviendo, el saber que hay personas que también se están ilusionando con esta experiencia.
I think really reading comments or listening to comments of women in particular who are finding themselves to really be identified with a character and who really feel that finally they can see someone on screen who they can relate to, and I think that really has been the most gratifying part of this whole experience.
And before I go on to Alfonso, one last question to Yalitza. You've been all over the world and you've seen how people are reacting to Cleo. What do you think about the story and about your portrayal and about Cleo that it speaks to so many different cultures?
Que es una mujer real.
That she's a real woman.
Te muestra tantas cosas por lo que pasan muchas mujeres, y no solamente el personaje de ella, el personaje de Sofía también ha provocado que tanto los hijos como las madres reflexionen hacia varios temas, y creo que todos los personajes que están en la película hacen algo mágico que te conectas con alguno de ellos.
I think mostly the fact that people can on the one hand, they can relate to her, but particularly to the fact that women go through these same kinds of troubles. And in this case, I'm not talking just about Cleo, but I'm also talking about Sofia, in a way that both children and mothers themselves, right, can relate to any kinds of problems and different themes that the movie touches upon. And I think this is part of what is so magical about the film and so magical about the story that it portrays.
Alfonso, after Gravity, I heard you say that you wanted to do an intimate film. You wanted to do something smaller. But Roma is intimate, but at the same time epic. Was that something that was always on your mind to navigate that epic, intimate world, at the same time epic and intimate world?
Frankly, there was not much preconception about that. I was, what I said of the Gravity is that I want my next film. I wanted to be a film in which the character has their feet grounded on earth. And by the way, I was saying metaphoric. Well, no, I was talking about that literally. I didn't want a character floating anymore. It was an idea. But then literally ends up being the case, you know. I guess that I was really wanted to go into something very real and very grounded, and this was grounded in memories. And so by honoring those memories, I was just doing what it was the right thing, that I believe was the right thing, to honor those memories. I was not even aware about the scope of the film. I guess that the first time I started getting like an idea that the film had big scenes was because of, I kept on telling everyone that it was a small film that I was doing. And when I started having the production meetings, everybody was started getting very concerned about the sets. And then it's when I learned, I said, oh, okay, yeah, maybe 1,000 extras, you know? but because I was not seeing in terms of scope, but in terms of the universe that she was gravitating, you know, that Cleo was gravitating.
Yeah.
So, and also the social context around her. I guess that I was not even factoring at that point the period factor. You know, if you said, okay, she crossed an avenue, you're doing now this, and you just go to that avenue and you have your character cross that avenue. Mm-hmm. You know, the problem is when you're doing a film in the 70s that you have to not only bring the period cars and the extras in costume, but also you have to build the set because that set doesn't exist anymore.
But in 1971 in Mexico, the country is going through this shattering transformation, and the family that you're portraying, your family, is going through this shattering transformation. You understood that there was a connection between the two, the Mexico and that family, right?
Well, yes, because I had said this before, but the only way that you can approach a memory is from the standpoint of your present, your understanding of the present, because it's you who memory is the biggest liar. Yeah. You know, memory, we rewrite our memories all the time, because I think that our memories are tainted by our current knowledge and understanding. So when I was approaching memory and going through this story and understanding nowadays that I didn't have when I was 11 or 10 or 9, whatever, is that character and or existence and the environment around your existence, they are interconnected. One thing informs the other. So as I was writing the screenplay or going into designing the film in my head, it was very clear that it was as important to talk about, even if the point of departure was personal wound and a wound that I share with the real life person upon which the character Cleo is based. family wounds, but it was very clear that I wanted also to deal with wounds that I shared with society at large, thinking at that point that it was Mexico. And then because of the reaction that the film has been having in different countries in the world, I realized that maybe those are wounds that I share with humanity at large.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I've seen your film about, more than a few times. And from the get-go, I understood that visually you have a foreground, you have a midground, you have a background, and in almost in every scene, you have a social context to the film. You have a political context to the film, and at the same time, you have a deeply personal context to almost every shot, every scene. I want to be inside your head for a second. Were you constantly aware of the fact that you were doing that foreground, midground, and background in those levels?
Yes, definitely it was, in the sense of something that I think it started in Tu Mama También, in which character is as important as the environment, as the social context behind. Here, the difference is that I was very conscious about certain socio-political context that it was important for me, particularly from the standpoint, again, not from the standpoint of memory, from what myself or even Libo would remember of that period, but my understanding of that period and how it has shaped not only myself, but also my society. So I was aware of certain things I wanted to do, but together with that, there was a lot of other stuff that I just allowed it to happen because it was resurfacing from my subconsciousness. And I didn't question those. I didn't stop to think of why I was adding those elements. Some are probably more symbolic elements that I allowed them to happen because they happened during the process, and I thought, well, there's a reason. I have to respect the purity of that process. Some of those symbolic stuff I can give interpretations a posteriori, afterwards, that I see them, but I don't know if my interpretations are actually the truthful interpretations, because I have heard from audiences way better interpretations of those.
But ultimately, that's what art is all about, is about open interpretations of things. But you have laid out symbols and layers where, you have water, and you have, the cars and earth, and you have the planes, and you have 3 layers of levels that these characters navigate in, and it's open to interpretation what all those symbols are all about.
Well, what I've been, and late in my game, I learned, because something as an audience, as an art goer, I enjoy is that aspect of art. But now, as I'm learning that the job of the artist is nothing but to create the vessel, to create the vase, the cup. And it's as important, or even more important, the experience of the audience, whatever the audience pours in that cup. And that's what really makes the artistic expression. And so, probably in my past, I was too concerned about trying to fill it up. And now I'm learning that probably it's about that there's nothing richer. No matter what great things I do, there's nothing richer than that experience of the audience, or of the spectator of a work of art. There's nothing richer than that.
Yalitza, tell us about the process that you went through to get cast, and also embodying Cleo or Leva.
El proceso de casting fue muy largo. Cuando llegué a tener a Alfonso enfrente de mí, no, ni siquiera lo reconocí.
The casting process was really long, and at the point where I finally got to meet Alfonso, I didn't really even recognize him.
No sabías quién era él.
Dice, no sabía quién era, no tenía ni idea de-
Yeah, she didn't know who he was.
That's even better.
Ese proceso yo creí que era normal porque era el primer casting que hacía, pero ahora sé que no, que todo fue diferente.
I thought that was actually a normal casting process because it was the first casting process I ever did, but now I know it's different. Now I know that things are actually different.
El interpretar a Cleo, bueno, el personaje de Cleo que en la vida real es Libo, me resultó un poco difícil en ciertas etapas.
And to play Cleo, which is really the character who's based on Libo, was very difficult to do, and it was difficult at different stages.
Al principio solo dije es una gran oportunidad para homenajear a mi mamá cuando Alfonso me contó un poco de Libo y ya después me arrepentí.
At first I thought this is just a really great opportunity to pay homage to my mother in relationship to Libo, and then I regretted it.
Me arrepentí porque cuando hablé con Libo conocí que es una gran mujer. Igual Alfonso se refería con ella con mucho aprecio. Creí que no iba a poder tener la capacidad de transmitir o llegar a ese límite que él necesitara.
And once I met Libo, I realized she really was a great woman, and she was also a woman for whom Alfonso has a lot of affection. And so then I began to worry whether I was not really sort of taking on too much weight on my shoulders and whether I would really be able to go forward with this and be successful.
El no contar con el guión fue algo que me ayudó mucho.
Not having the script actually helped.
Solo que cuando habían escenas del mixteco, creo que sí, como yo no hablo del mixteco, tuve que aprenderlo. Sí, me ponía muy nerviosa para hacer esas escenas. Tenía igual como ese temor de no pronunciar correctamente las palabras.
And then except for the scenes where I speak Mixtec, because I'm not actually fluent in Mixtec, so I was always very nervous about being able to actually pronounce the words correctly, and so those were difficult scenes to shoot.
Habían escenas en las que nos, junto con Nancy García, ella es la maestra del mixteco, y llegábamos y Alfonso nos decía, ¿qué les parece si hablan de esto en esta toma? Y yo solo me quedaba así, es que yo no hablo el mixteco. Y decía, vayan a repasar y ya vienen, pero no, era muy complicado hacer eso en un ratito.
So the person on set that really spoke Mystic was Nancy, who I have a couple of scenes with, and sometimes it would happen that Alfonso would arrive and would say, how about you guys talk about this? And of course I would panic because then we would have to go backstage and practice and come back and deliver the lines.
I have to say that this is something that is extraordinary with Yalitza, that first of all, she crafted a character from beginning to end, because Yalitza is so different from Cleo in real life. It's incredible. And on top of that, she was facing to this new universe that she never, she had never done a film before. And she started, she had this, at the second day of shoot, she had this amazing understanding of how things work and what she had to do and how to access her emotions. But on top of that, and it's something that we haven't talked so much to end all this period, is that Yalitza doesn't speak Mixteco. And when I told her that I wanted to do that it was important, I guess that because of Nancy, that is her best friend, who plays Adela, and she's fluent in Mixteco, and she did a translation to Mixteco. She said, okay, I'll give it a try. I give it a go. And she was awesome. I mean, it was she was so amazing that there were so many times, and I guess that's what she's referring to, that we were shooting this scene, and then I was like, wait, it's great now, let's do it in Mixteco. And she was like, yes, remember I will speak, yes, you can do it. and she and Yalitza and Nancy, they would go to another space, and then they would start practicing. And what is amazing is how with Nancy you will be working even in the, not only about saying the language, but actually the intonation and the emotional delivery. And then 10 minutes later we start shooting and it was just amazing. It was just, it was really incredible.
Following on the idea of Mixteco, you use Chilango in the film, and there's a subtlety to the language, and you celebrate it throughout the film. And can you tell us about the fact that you needed to have Chilango in the film? And actually, should I explain what Chilango is to the? It's the city of Mexico, right? It's the language that
It's the slang, if you want to call it.
Yeah, and it's like, this film is so fucking rich in so many ways. Not just visually, foreground, midground, and background, sound, political, social, every which way. But like, I'm so blown away every time I see this film. The subtlety of using the Mixteco, but then the Chilango, and tell us about the importance of doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm Chilango, I'm from Mexico City. A couple of people from Mexico City here. Do we need to do this in English too? I'm kidding.
¿Podemos hablar en español?
No.
Que el recto vayan descubriendo.
We'll put subtitles here. So I think in Chilango. And I dream in Chilango. And Chilango is nothing but, it's just the intonation and the particular slang that it's just like any country. It's different if you have a New Jersey kind of slang.
Please turn that cell phone off.
Yes, if I was from Bronx, I would say differently. So that's the Chilango is this thing, and it's part of who I am. And if I was going to do a film about memory, it was about that. Y Tu Mamá También is also a film that uses Chilango. And that was important because of just the energy of the words, the energy of language, and because also language was important in the film because it's not only Mixteco. There's obviously the contrast between Spanish or Chilango and Mixteco, even in the household, where even the kid says, "Don't talk like that." He wants to impose his dominant language. It's not only there's a relations of dominance between the family and the domestic workers, but also goes beyond that. Even in terms of the language, the kid wants to impose his language over to them. And unclear, but also you have the languages that when they go to the upper classes, to the hacienda, is populated by English. Sometimes it's spoken by American characters or rich Mexicans that think that talking in English makes them more sophisticated and rich. And together with that, when you go into the universe of the dispossessed, when you go to the shanty towns, most of the language that you hear, if you see the truck where she's arriving to the shanty town, for instance, they are talking different indigenous languages. They're talking Nahuatl, they're talking Otomi, they're talking Triqui. It's because unfortunately, same as the relationship between social class and ethnics, that applies also to languages. And it's a reminder of, all of those are languages that were in that geographical place that now we call Mexico, even way before Spanish arrived. And now those are the ones that are completely dispossessed.
On that same note, you recreated visually Mexico City in the 1970s, and you know we have the visuals of Insurgentes, the upper scale at the time world, and then you have the middle class world of the household, and then you have the next, I can't pronounce it, Nexacoto, you know, the slums, you know, visually you recreate these worlds in, you know, different social scales. You know, can you tell us about the importance of recreating that?
Well, it's, in one hand, yes, it's the, there's obviously the film, and that's when I learned that through the process of digging into memory and comparing my memories with Livo's memories, in which, you know, is the element and it started to become the social one, you know, this element of disparity that exists, not only in Mexico, in all societies. And I was not trying to do a political film at any point. I was just actually doing a film about wounds and about this mystery of existence, you know, this existence in which is so random and is so meaningless that only our bonds of affection can give any meaning. You know, it's this like this experience of shared loneliness, you know, that we go in existence, and all that contrast is part of what makes existence so diverse, so rich, so beautiful, but also so cruel. You know, it's and one thing goes with the other. You know, joy exists just as a counterbalance to sadness. You know, and all of that is part of the same experience of being human.
But did you, and you know, I can say this because I'm on the outside looking in. Were you aware that you were pushing the boundaries of cinema as you were making this film? The fact that you were creating, you know, visually absolutely stunning foreground, midground, long takes. You're experimenting with sound in a way that we've never seen in film, where sound itself has foreground, midground, and background with the Dolby Atmos. Were you conscious of the fact that I am pushing the limits of cinema as I'm doing this film? Which you did, you have.
Well, that I don't know. What I was aware is that I needed, it was like a need to push my boundaries. You know, I needed to do something that I didn't know how to do. I needed, this is unlike any other film I've done. I think that a misgiving that I have in many films, or maybe most of my films, is an extreme control of the elements. I didn't want to have control of the elements. I didn't even know which film I was going to end up, what the result was going to be. It was, for me, it was a mystery. And that was kind of exciting. It was like an adrenaline rush, because it was like being in a tightrope without safety net. You know, after sharing my memories with Livo, I went for 3 weeks to write the screenplay without even thinking about it, not questioning structure or character arc, and then never read it again. You know, I read it by pieces just because I have to do breakdowns for the crew because nobody had the screenplay. And so I just wanted it to be something that was going to surprise me all the time. And the amazing thing was having Yalitza, because no matter even if I had written a scene, Yalitza was always surprising. And I was just, in my other scripts, more or less, I know what I expecting from the actors to do. Here I was just observing what Yalitza was offering. And it was a process like that, you know, so I didn't know what film I was doing. I had flashes of an intuition of something, but I didn't want to judge it. I didn't want to second guess it.
You. The festival is you're part of the Virtuoso lineup. Virtuoso. The Virtuoso Award is given to a pioneer, to a young artist that breaks new ground in cinema, and I couldn't think of a more deserving person than you. Alfonso may explain this to you later, but when I saw your performance in this film, I thought about Ana Magnani in Mama Roma. When I saw your performance in this film, I thought about Sofia Loren in Two Women. When I saw your performance in this film, I thought about Penelope Cruz in Volver. It's this visceral force of nature, woman, person, and it's one of the most indelible performances in cinema. And because of that, we want to honor you with the Virtuoso Award. And oh my God, thank you.
Traje algo preparado porque soy muy mala para dar palabras en público.
I brought something prepared because I'm not that good doing impromptu thank yous in public.
Bueno, primeramente, muchas gracias al festival y en especial a ti, Roger, por el gran apoyo que le han brindado a Roma.
So first of all, thank you so much to the Santa Barbara Film Festival and especially to you, Roger, for your incredible support of Roma.
Interpretar a Cleo y viajar por todo el mundo con el equipo ha sido una experiencia gratificante. Yo pienso que el cine tiene la capacidad de romper barreras, inspirar amor, valor y paz. Me siento muy honrada de poder estar aquí esta noche para recibir este premio.
Portraying Cleo and traveling the world with Roma has been the most rewarding experience. I believe cinema has the power to break through barriers, inspire love, courage, and hope. I am very honored to be here tonight to receive this award.
Gracias. Thank you, everybody.